In Counter-Strike 2, you have Premier, Competitive, Wingman, Casual, Deathmatch, Arms Race. 6 great game modes, but did you know there's more?
No.
Because of Counter-Strike 2's early development just being CSGO with a new engine, many things, including the game modes, were copied over. So all these game modes in the game type game mode table do exist, as CS2 will acknowledge the game mode when loading into a map. That doesn't mean you can play them. Sure, you can load the game mode, but it's either broken or soft locks. Skirmish game modes are a completely different story, as they are a modification of a game mode rather than being a game type. The modifications a skirmish mode makes are to some console variables defined in a config file. For example, load up casual, replace everyone's weapons with a knife and scout, disable accuracy penalties, lower the gravity and increase air acceleration, disable buying stuff, and make the money unattainable. Congratulations, you got Flying Scoutsman. The problem with skirmish modes in Counter-Strike 2, however, with the exception of retakes, is that these config files don't exist in the game files, so I copy and pasted them from the CSGO files. However, they don't automatically execute, so I have to manually execute them.
But Diamond Man, if I'm moving files to play these game modes, wouldn't that mean I'm adding game modes? That doesn't sound like they're hidden, more like they don't exist.
While it may seem like we're adding game modes ourselves, which I guess we sort of are, but I do believe these skirmish modes are hidden similar to the game modes game types table. Skirmish modes are actually defined in the game files. However, there is one flaw with it. This command. EXEC with whitelist does not exist in CS2. This, I believe, is why we must execute them ourselves. Game modes, on the other hand, use the regular EXEC. So Weapons Expert, for example, will automatically execute the config file that we copied from CSGO. Retakes seems to work, despite being defined as a skirmish mode. Well, Retakes is more of a hybrid. Despite being classified as a skirmish mode, the functions and features of Retakes appears to be hard-coded to this skirmish ID, not its config file. Retake's config file is just basic match settings that you would probably find in all the other modes. Hell, it doesn't even get executed because it uses the EXEC with whitelist command. Alright, if you want to know how to access these game modes, or need a reminder on how to, open up the developer console and set the values for these variables. If you don't remember which ones to use, head back to the Valve developer wiki and look at the game type game mode table and the skirmish ID table. I'll try to leave a link to the page I used in the description. If you need the config files, download the CSGO Legacy branch, and just copy and paste the config files into CS2. If you're unable to do that for whatever reason, check the description to see if I've left the files somewhere there. I can't guarantee that though. Now that I'm done talking about how this stuff is hidden and how to access them, let's take a look at the hidden game modes you can get working. In this game mode, once you buy a gun, you cannot buy it again for the rest of that match. Even after halftime, you still can't buy that weapon. Fortunately, the opposite team counterpart weapons can still be purchased. Still only once though. Due to Counter-Strike 2's loadout system, you'll run out of weapons to buy a lot faster than in Global Offensive. So if you play this game mode, I suggest lowering the max rounds. The game mode with low gravity, almost perfect scout accuracy, and I guess you can knife people. One of my favorite game modes from Global Offensive. How well does this mode work in Counter-Strike 2? It works perfectly fine. Valve could have given you the option to play this game mode. My best guess as to why they didn't do that is that they didn't have any maps that would work well with Flying Scoutsman. Although technically you can load this on any map, as it's just a modification of casual, it does work better on more open maps, to which we have Shoots, which did support Flying Scoutsman in CSGO. So now they do have one map that supported it previously. You probably never heard of this game mode before, as it was technically never officially featured anywhere. Likely this game mode was intended to release with Operation Hydra back in 2017. However, this game mode sat hidden in the game files. As for the game mode, it's just Arms Race, except you lose health over time, the health drain can't kill you, and any damage you deal will return back to you as health, up to 200. Now, this game mode also appears to be working perfectly fine. So you may be wondering, why did Valve not release it? Well, one, they didn't tell you about it in Global Offensive, so why would they here? And second, Arms Race didn't exist at the beginning of CS2. So I mean, if they want to release a variation of Arms Race, well, they got this that they didn't tell us about. In this variation of casual, players are to use their knives and a recharging taser to get kills, with the option to buy grenades. Can't wait for your taser to recharge? Just grab the dead opponent's taser off the ground. Despite the name of the game mode being Stab Stab Zap, it's more like Zap Stab Stab. This game mode still works just fine. Having a bunch of bots chasing you is kinda scary. In this version of Deathmatch, you can only deal damage by getting headshots. In addition, players do not have helmets, so for weapons with poor armor penetration, like SMGs and some pistols, we'll be able to do additional damage. So, does this game mode work in Counter-Strike 2? Absolutely. It works perfectly fine. However, the sparking effect when you shoot the body, however, does not work. But that's only cosmetic. Other than that, it just works fine. In this variation of casual, any bullets you shoot that don't hit an enemy will deal a percentage of its damage to you. Now, does this game mode work? Sort of. We're now entering the territory of where some of these modes might not work properly, and in this case, missing your shots can kill you. It's not supposed to do that. Back in Global Offensive, missing your shots would only bring you down to 1 health. However, in Counter-Strike 2, this safety measure is not in place. So while the self-damaging, which is the point of the mode, works, it also has the downside of being able to kill you, which is not supposed to happen. Other than that, the mode works for the most part. Another one of my favorite modes, this game mode sees counter-terrorists retaking a bomb site in an afterplant scenario, with each player being issued a loadout card to select at the start of each round. Now, does this game mode work in Counter-Strike 2? It mostly works, which surprised me, considering that Retakes actually has some assets made specifically for it. I'm guessing Valve was developing this game mode, and then just eventually stopped working on it. Now, I said this game mode works for the most part, which is true, as the issues I faced were counter-terrorists do not receive defuse kits with their loadout cards, and bots will spawn at their team spawn points, unlike players who will spawn normally, unless the bot is the bomb planter. And if you're wondering, Train does have retake spawns. However, I believe these are for the older version of Train, probably ported from the CSGO version, because I got spawned inside something, and the bomb got planted under a train car. So yeah, I don't think anyone at Valve touched this game mode after release. And that's all the hidden game modes I can get working. Maybe, in the far distant future, Valve might fix some of these modes up and make them more easily available. Or maybe even add new ones. Okay, I doubt that last one. But hey, until then, you now know, there's a handful of other game modes you can go play with your friends. Or, if you know what console commands to change, you can make your own game mode.